Welcome back to Got Wire. Today I'm going to show you guys all the equipment I'm going to install in my rack space that I got at a data center. I got 8U of rack space, 8 on the front and 8 on the back with a 1 gig internet connection. I got a static IP address, and I'll show you guys later in the video setting up the static IP on this UDM Pro. This UDM Pro is what I'm going to use as my firewall inside the rack. And mount it with some rack studs. These rack studs are way easier than cage nuts. This is what it looks like. I'm just gonna put it in here, and this is how you screw it on. It just has this little screw, and doing that is way easier than messing around with cage nuts and destroying your thumbs. I'm gonna plug the WAN connection into this SFP Plus adapter here to Ethernet. That way, if I get faster than 1 gig, I'll get it because the main WAN connection on the UDM Pro is only 1 gig. And then the other box is my TrueNas Scale box, and that's what I'm going to use as like my cloud. It has a bunch of 4 terabyte hard drives in it, and I have that connected with a DAC cable to my UDM Pro. And I'm also going to install this access point inside my rack. It's just powered with a PoE injector right now. And that's how I'm going to install it in the rack, because this UDM Pro does not have PoE ports. And the way I am going to mount this server and the rack, since it's really heavy with all these hard drives, I don't think this case has rails, or if it does, the rails are really expensive. I bought 2 tables here that I'm going to set it on. I'm going to mount one of these in the front and the other one in the back of the rack, and use the rack studs to install them, and just slide the server on both the tables here. That way I don't have to mess with the rails, and it's just an easy install to slide it in. But here in a minute, I'll show you guys on my laptop configuring the static, not with the actual info obviously, but how to configure a static IP on your WAN interface. And I'll show you how I'll have everything configured so I can access it back here at my house 30 miles away. I got everything set up here on my laptop, so I already set up the UDM Pro already, but the default address when you first get it is 192.168.1.1. So just go to that address and set it all up. I went ahead and changed my address to 10.4.4.1, and this is the main page on the UDM Pro. So you just click on Network, go to Devices, and I had already adopted my ACLR, so you just click on Adopt if you haven't already. So there is my ACLR, and I need to configure the Wi-Fi on it. Just click on Settings behind my head, and then click on Wi-Fi, and you can create a Wi-Fi name, password, all that good stuff. Networks, you got your, that's how I changed my subnet pool. And then Internet, here's the important part. This is how you create a static, or if you get a static from your WAN ISP, this is how you fill in the static info. I'm using secondary WAN, so you click on that up top. You can name it whatever you want, and then at the bottom, you click here to static IP address, and from your ISP, they'll give you the IPv4 address, the subnet mask, the gateway. So you enter in all this stuff from your internet service provider. Obviously, this is not all my stuff. This is just random stuff, so feel free to copy it or whatever. It's just random info. And then I don't want to use their DNS servers. You can if you want, but I'm just using Google, and I think that top one's Cloudflare. I could be wrong. But you fill in all that info, and that's how you create a static IP address. That way it never changes, and you're able to access it from outside your house, or out, in my case, outside the data center. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to set up a VPN. So I clicked on VPN, and up top, when you first do it, it'll say WireGuard. That's what I'm using, is WireGuard, because it's faster than OpenVPN. So I'm going to click on this. Obviously, this is not my WAN IP address that I'm using, so you can ignore that. But you type in what you want to name it. In my case, I named it My Cloud. And here's, you choose what WAN interface you want to come in on. And then the port, obviously this is the default port for WireGuard. And then you set up your clients. Like I have my phone set up, my laptop set up, and my gaming PC set up, so I can access all this outside of my house or outside the data center. And when you have it plugged up, you click on Add Client, and it'll pop up a QR code, or you can do manual, or you can download the file. For me, the QR code did not work. Trying to scan it with my WireGuard app. So when you hit Add, this is a WireGuard app. I don't know if you can see it. You hit the Add in the bottom right, and that'll give you the options. When I hit Scan from QR code right there, it would not work. So I had to download the file, and for some reason it was very picky about names. I had to make sure there was no spaces at all in any of my names. So that's why there's no space in between my cloud, and that's why these names down here are very simple: phone, laptop, gaming, PC. And once I made the names simple, I was able to import the file, and it just set up everything for me. Because before it was giving me an error that said something about name. The name was failing, so I just made sure the names are simple, and it worked. I don't know why it was doing that, but your mileage may vary. So once I get this set up in the data center, I'm going to turn on my VPN on my phone and VPN into it off the cell tower and make sure I can access my TrueNas Scale box. But that's how I'm going to have everything set up. And I am fixing to run to the data center right now, get everything installed, and then I'll come back here and show you guys accessing it from my house. Well, I'm back. It's been about a week or two. I got everything installed in the data center and set up. And let me say that was not easy. That was a pain in the butt with the UDM Pro. I thought I had a firewall blocking my server. And let's just say on my server on TrueNas Scale, DHCP was not DHCP. It did not pull hardly anything. It was still set up for the subnet for here at my house, which made me want to pull out my hair. But I'll talk about that more here on my laptop. I'll show you all the pictures I took, obviously with some stuff blurred out because I do not want to get in trouble. And I was not able to record in the data center because that's a big no-no. You do not want to record in there and get in trouble or get kicked out. So I got my mic here from my laptop for when I do the screen recording, so hopefully the audio in between here and my laptop won't be as bad. The camera is not as good on my laptop, but what can I do? I got my festive hot chocolate here, so I'll switch over to my laptop here and I'll show you everything I got configured and set up. The first thing I did after I got everything set up was I went to WireGuard's website, downloaded the client, and the UDM Pro gives you a file. So I just clicked on Add Tunnel, and I imported that file, and it set up all this right here. And this is how you connect to it. And then the other screen here is what it automatically fills in from the file. Is your allowed IPs and public key and private key and all that stuff. And I unchecked block untunneled traffic. And the important part here is when you set it up on your UDM Pro, make sure your IP address is something different than your local IP address. Like my local subnet is 192.168, so this is 10.4.0. So make sure you click on Advanced on the UDM Pro and change the subnet to something different than your home subnet. And I will show you, I got the VPN turned on right now. I won't click on it because it'll show the keys, but there it is down there. It's got a check mark. It's connected, and I have two shares set up. I have my movie share, which contains my Plex. I'm running Plex on my TrueNas Scale box, and then I have a backup, which is my stuff here, and I just manually back it up right now. I'm sure there's an app I'll download later, or a container, whatever you call it, in TrueNas Scale that'll automatically connect my unrated machine and my TrueNas Scale machine to back up everything. But here's some of the pictures. This is me installing it. Obviously I had to blur out stuff in the background because underneath here it's graded, and over here it's graded where you can see in. So I went ahead and blurred it. That's why it looks like that down here and up top. But there's my UDM Pro. And I used rack studs here on the side to mount it. And this is my WAN connection right here, and then this is the cord going down to my PC. And that's just a close-up version of it. I have a power strip in the back, so I have 8U on the front here and 8U on the back, and then my WAN connection comes from the top here, and I just have it plugged into my 10 gig port, SFP plus port. It's just a 1 gig connection, and then there's the finished product, what it looks like. This Ethernet right here goes to this access point, with a PoE injector up there, because this doesn't put out PoE. And then there's my TrueNas Scale server that I built from scratch. I got a video about it if you guys want to watch how I put that together. It was a pretty interesting video. But I went ahead and turned off the 2.4, and the 5 gigahertz on the access point is turned way down. And I asked for permission to put that in there. He said that was okay as long as I turned off the 2.4 and turned down the 5 gigahertz way down, so it wouldn't interfere. But I added a shelf up here, a third shelf, and then this TrueNas Scale is just sitting on a shelf on the front here, and there's a shelf on the back. And as you can see, I used the rack studs to hold in everything way better than cage nuts. And here's a speed test of while I was getting off the UDM Pro, 970. And just so you can see, I can access it. 10.4.4.4 is my TrueNas Scale that I have running there in the data center. I just accessed this box right here that I have in the data center from my home network right here. And then I also have my UDM Pro that I can access there. And I won't click on network because it'll show my WAN IP. But I also have this that I can access, and that's how I have WireGuard set up, as I installed WireGuard on the UDM Pro. And one of the problems that I had when I got everything configured with WireGuard was I couldn't access the TrueNas Scale server. So I'll show you a screenshot here in a minute of what I had to do on the TrueNas Scale box. Here's a screenshot of my TrueNas Scale network page that I took a screenshot of while I was there. What I had to end up doing, since I didn't realize it was DHCP causing problems, is I added a static route for my VPN subnet on my UDM Pro of 10.4.0.0/24, and I added the gateway 10.4.4.1, because what was happening was I'd connect to the VPN, I could access the UDM Pro, but I couldn't access the TrueNas Scale box. So I thought it was a firewall rule, so I started to go in there and mess with the firewall. But the UDM Pro automatically, I believe, allows access to your local subnet when you set up the WireGuard VPN. All it was TrueNas Scale on my interface. I didn't have the default gateway set up right. I didn't have it set to my UDM Pro's IP address. It was still set up to my old one here at my house that was 192.168. So I just went into the interface here and I hit the pencil and I changed the default gateway, and after I did that, it worked without the static route that I had set up. So that made me want to pull out my hair for a little bit, but I was able to fix it using ChatGPT and just playing around, going back and forth. But I had to end up driving back and forth to the data center a couple of times. It was about a 30-minute drive there and back. It was a pain in the butt. It made me want to pull out my hair. I have a laptop in there in case I ever need to access it. I got TeamViewer set up on that laptop, so I can just use TeamViewer and control everything like I'm there. But I think I'm going to remove that laptop because the VPN seems to be working. So I'm probably going to remove that laptop. But I'll switch over to my phone here and I'll tell you my closing thoughts. So it was kind of a pain in the butt to get it set up, but once I get it all set up, I can access it just like it's any other file share here on my local network, as long as I got my WireGuard VPN turned on. And it's only 1 gig connection, so moving files is kind of slow. But hey, I'll take it. Like I said, I got a pretty good deal in the data center rack space, a real good deal, which I'm thankful for. And it's only about 30 minutes away from here if I ever have to go mess with it. But I think I got all the kinks worked out, and now I have a off-site backup on my data, which I was really lacking on my data, backup solution was an off-site solution. And like I said, I got a better deal than paying like Google Drive or any of the other cloud storage, and it's also in my control. I control all my data. It's locked up there in the data center. Nobody else messes with it. It's all under my control. So if you're a little paranoid like me, maybe looking into a data center near you to see how much rack space would be a good solution. Or, you know, you can just play Google and go, hey, I don't care if they see my stuff. It depends on how paranoid you are. But go ahead and like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video.